Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Kylie Campbell, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Private Ashley Chivers. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Hubert William Marks. We are honoured to acknowledge Director of the Changi Chapel and Museum in Singapore, Ms. Ashma Elias, and the accompanying curatorial delegation. Chief Executive to L3 Harris Technologies Australia, Air Vice Marshal Alan Clements, retired, and the accompanying delegation representing L3 Harris. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of a pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial, students on behalf of St Finbarr School, visiting from Brighton, East Victoria, and students on behalf of Strathcona Baptist Girls Grammar Primary Campus, visiting from Canterbury, Victoria. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students and those who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit and the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Hubert William Marks. Hubert Marks was born in Wellington, New South Wales in late 1896. He was the eldest of 6 children born to William Marks and his wife Bridget. The family lived in the Niima Falls area of Wellington throughout Hubert's childhood, and he likely attended the local public school. Little else is known of Hubert's early life beyond the fact that he spent 6 months as a member of the local militia at some stage after finishing his schooling. Hubert enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 15th of July 1915 and was allotted to the 10th Reinforcements of the 4th Australian Infantry Battalion with the rank of private. After 3 months training in Australia, Private Hubert Marks departed Sydney in HMAT Warrilda on the 8th of October 1915, bound for Egypt. Hubert arrived in Egypt as the Australian forces were preparing to evacuate Gallipoli, and instead spent the winter of 1915 to 1916 training in Egypt. He joined the 4th Battalion at Tel El Kebir in late January, and only a few weeks later was taken on strength of the newly formed 56th Battalion as part of the doubling of the AIF. Only a month after joining the 56th Battalion, Hubert was transferred to the 5th Division Artillery and was taken on strength of the 13th Field Artillery Brigade on the 17th of March. After another 2 months of training in Egypt, now with the artillery, Hubert was again transferred in mid-May to a new unit, this time to the 5th Pioneer Battalion. Hubert and the rest of the 5th Pioneer Battalion left Egypt in mid-June 1916 and arrived in France a week later. Pioneer battalions provided light infantry who were able to undertake some engineer functions, such as digging trenches, labouring, constructing light railways, and undertaking battlefield clearance. Typically, members of pioneer battalions possessed relevant trained qualifications or had experience working in mines or construction. Serving with the 5th Australian Division, the battalion began its Western Front experience in northern France, laying telephone cables and constructing railway lines before supporting the disastrous attack at Fromelles on the 19th of July. After the battle, the pioneers remained in the area, undertaking construction work around Fakisa. They stayed in northern France for the rest of the year and the bitter winter, continuing to undertake construction and repair works. In spring 1917, the pioneers took part in the pursuit of German forces following their withdrawal to the Hindenburg Line. In May, they supported the Second Battle of Bullecourt, helping to construct a defensive mine to the east of the town. Like many of the Australian forces, in mid-1917, the 5th Pioneer Battalion moved from France into Belgium to support the fighting around Ypres. By September, they were constructing plank roads behind the lines around Zillebeke, enabling artillery and supplies to reach their positions ahead of the planned offensive later that month. On the 15th of September, Hubert suffered a bomb wound to his right thigh and was eventually evacuated to England for further medical treatment. He spent the next 3 months recovering from his wound at the military hospital in Boscombe and passed the winter camp in England, preparing to return to the Western Front. After 7 months away from his battalion, Hubert rejoined the pioneers at the end of April 1918, just in time to blunt the German spring offensive and take part in the minor attacks that followed. In August, the Allies launched their 100 Days Offensive, and the pioneers were brought in to support actions around Péronne at the end of August and the subsequent advance. In late September, the 5th Pioneers fought in their final action of the war during the Battle of St. Quentin Canal. The Germans had been using the canal as an additional defensive barrier ahead of the Hindenburg Line, and Australian, American, and British troops were brought in to attack the position. Starting on the 27th of September, the Allies broke through part of the Hindenburg Line defences on the canal by the 2nd of October. This opened up a gap of about 17 kilometres in the line. This success had come at a cost, however. The operation cost the 3rd and 5th Australian Divisions 2,577 casualties. Along with providing engineering support for the action, the pioneers were also frequently caught up in close quarters fighting against pockets of German resistance and were involved in capturing several machine gun positions. At some stage in the morning on the 3rd of October, before the battalion was relieved from their frontline positions, Hubert sustained a severe shrapnel wound to his head. Although he was rushed to the 4th Australian Field Ambulance, little could be done to save him. Private Hubert Marks died of his wounds later that day. He was 21 years old. Hubert's remains were buried in Templou-la-Girard Communal Cemetery Extension in Picardy, France. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Hubert William Marks, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man, lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.